Hello, my name is Matthias and welcome to the FPL Scope and the FPL eye test for GW23, where we take a look at this weekend's Premier League matches from a fancy Premier League perspective with some numbers and just some thoughts about what I've seen this weekend from the matches. And we're starting with Everton against Spurs. Pretty interesting game where Richarlison played against his former club and basically scored twice against them, punishing all of those of us like me who didn't go with Richarlison because we were afraid of his blank in GW26. But up until that point, from game week 16, I think, until now, I think he must be like the highest scoring FPL player currently because he just keeps getting 7, 9, 8, 15 types of pointers every single week. I think he's blanked once or something for like the past 7, 8 game weeks. He has 8 goals in 8 games. He's just fantastic at the moment and scored twice against Everton despite not having the best chances either. First one was from a setup by Udogie. Again, Udogie is also another really undervalued prospect currently. Really nice assist again. So yet another game with an assist for Udogie, who plays way more attackingly than Pedro Porro on the other side, I think at least. So if Pedro Porro loses his set piece duties to Maddison at some point, because Maddison is sort of urging to get the set pieces back, I imagine, I think Udogie is just a straight up better prospect than Pedro Porro is at the moment because he's just way more offensive and provided the assist for Richarlison. But Everton struck back, they got a goal, and sadly for Calvert-Lewin, he didn't really get credited with the goal. The ball was headed back into the box, and Calvert-Lewin basically headed it through open goal, scores the goal seemingly, but the ball on his way to crossing the line, it grazes the leg of Jack Harrison, so instead the goal gets credited to Harrison, but it shouldn't really matter in terms of Calvert-Lewin's confidence and stuff going forward, but we know that he kind of wanted to have that goal to end his goal drought, and now officially he hasn't really ended his goal drought because he didn't get credited with the goal. So it's kind of bullshit that he actually scored a goal, but it doesn't really get credited to him, and that will potentially affect him negatively in terms of just the feeling around him and the fact that he hasn't scored for a while. But nice for Calvert-Lewin anyway to basically at least get that goal scoring feeling because he felt like it was his goal at least. But yeah, he equalized, but then Richarlison again scored a fantastic goal from a nice Maddison assist. Maddison has been really good despite not having set pieces mostly. He's been pretty good since he came back, got an assist in each game since he came back, so another assist there for Richarlison. He looked really good once again. But then right at the end, Jared Brantwaite, as always, the big hero who's been on my bench for the last 3 game weeks and scored points every single game week in FPL. He was on the back post and headed it home for Everton to get 1 point at least and make it 2-2 in this game. So yeah, pretty much the big talking points there were Richarlison again, just absolutely fantastic. Every single game week, every single passing game week now closer to game week 26, especially with the double game week in 25 for the likes of Liverpool and Brentford especially, and Man City, of course. People aren't really interested in bringing in Richarlison because it feels like every single game week it's 1 game week closer to the point where you should potentially sell him for game 26 in the blank game week. But he just looks like an amazing prospect. So if you already have all your Liverpool players that you need, all the City players that you need, you could definitely still go for Richarlison if you have an out for game 26 where you know you can either sell him and replace him again, or you can bench him for a week and then have him back again for really good fixtures after that. Because Spurs do play in game week 29 at least, so that's going to be a big help for Richarlison owners in that regard. So yeah, Richarlison is an interesting case. I'm probably not going to buy him myself. I have bigger fish to fry, I guess, but I really regret not going for him on the Game Week 20 wildcard. It's one of the biggest mistakes I've done so far this season, and he just keeps punishing non-owners and punishing his old team as well in Everton, but 2-2 in the end in that game. It also ended 2-2 in the game between Burnley and Fulham. This was kind of different because Fulham took the lead 2-0 pretty early. They scored a corner goal from Palhinha, heading home a corner. After that, Rodrigo Muniz, the starting striker for Fulham, with Raul Jimenez out and Armando Broja just joining the squad. He scored the second goal as well. Nice assist from Anthony Robinson, who's been a pretty good defender for Fulham this season. Broja got the last 15 minutes of the game, but didn't really do much for Fulham in that time. But he is still someone to watch because Fulham do keep scoring goals. They scored twice again this time away. And Broja is going to be their starting striker for the foreseeable future with Raul Jimenez injured. So he's definitely someone to pay attention to for only, 4.9 million. Fulham are also one of those teams playing in Game Week 29, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, he's definitely someone to watch. But another player to watch, another player that plays in Game Week 29 is another former Chelsea striker or loaned out Chelsea striker for Burnley. David Fofana. I have actually seen him play quite a lot because he played in the Norwegian League back in the day. back in the day, a year ago or so. So I have watched him quite a lot there, and he's a really, really talented player. He didn't really get much out of the loan in Union Berlin, but it seems like he's hit the ground running with Burnley now. And Burnley do have really good fixtures in Game Week 26, 27, 28, and then they play in 29 as well. So if you're looking to not free it in 29, he's definitely someone you can bring in for Darwin, for example, in Game Week 26. I think he looks really amazing. First game against City, he came on and basically provided the assist for the consolation goal there. And then this time around against Fulham, he scored twice, a brace for Burnley to secure a vital point against Fulham at home. So Fofana is definitely someone to pay attention to from Burnley, especially for those of you who don't free hit in Game Week 29. He's a really nice, cheap differential option from Game Week 26 onwards for only 5.0. So he's definitely someone to watch as well. So two cheap strikers are basically like the main talking points. Two cheap former Chelsea strikers is the main talking point from this game between Burnley and Fulham, ending 2-2. Next game, Brighton against Crystal Palace, 4-1 for Brighton, and this just proves how valuable both Eberechi Esse and Michael Olise are for Crystal Palace. They both got slightly injured last game where they beat Sheffield United 3-2, and they were both instrumental in that win. But without them, without one of them, Crystal Palace struggle, and without both of them, they really struggle because Brighton just mauled them basically, and we're up 3-0 pretty early. Pascal Gross with 2 assists. He was in the free hit team that I put forth for the Game 23 deadline. He got 11 points in total, Gross. Really good game for him. Joao Pedro even scored a goal in the end for Brighton, the 4-1 goal after Crystal Palace had gotten a bit of a consolation goal. But yeah, Brighton just looked back to their best after losing 4-0 to Luton last time around. People kind of wrote off Brighton as a good team. But Luton are actually a really good team at home, especially. So yeah, that could happen. And we've seen this from Brighton as well. They lost 5-1 against Everton last season as well. But before and after that, they've been really good. So it's just the Serbian football, I guess, is sometimes they get massive losses, like we saw against Aston Villa earlier in the season as well. But oftentimes, or more often than not, they're going to win their matches. But the more interesting thing for FPL players in this game is the fact that Estupiñán was benched from the start of the game. And he was also subbed off at the half in that 4-0 loss to Luton. He's usually a player that plays quite a lot for Brighton, so I wouldn't really be too worried about his playing time going forward. But it is a slight concern, so I would definitely not buy him at this point because they do have a good fixture still, but they do have Spurs away next, I think. So even then, that's not that good of a fixture. And then he might not even be like secure and nailed as we've thought that he had been, because Hinchelwood played instead of him and he scored a goal as well for Brighton. 4.5 listed midfielder, by the way, Hinchelwood, if you need someone really cheap in midfield. But yeah, Estupiñán, slightly worried as a owner myself, but not too worried. I think he's going to play most matches going forward, but it's just a slight concern. So if I were to buy a Brighton defender at this point, it would probably be Van Hecke for only 4.0. He's also proven to be kind of attacking as well when it comes to set pieces. Sometimes he even had like marauding runs up the field as well. So I think he's just more worth the price now at 1 million less than Estupiñán, because Estupiñán, even when he has played, hasn't really played as offensively as we saw earlier in the season. He had a couple of nice clean sheet performances and a couple of nice goals as well after returning, but I think in terms of position-wise and his attacking play, it's sort of taken a bump or taken a hit, I guess, since the start of the season. But saying that, he could have scored in the 4-1 goal as well, because Joao Pedro came through on goal, and yeah, easy tap in or easy goal for Joao Pedro to score there. But if there was a defender in this way there, Estupiñán would have been completely open to his left, and he would have scored a goal there as well. So he did play attackingly when he came on in that game, only played 20 minutes or so in this game, but I don't know. Estupiñán is someone that I would basically just keep if you have him already, but probably stay away if you're looking for a defender currently. I don't know. I have to think about it a bit, but he sort of disappointed me in this game, but not so much as Crystal Palace disappointed me with not playing Olise and Eze, which is understandable because both are injured. Slightly, at least for Olise's sake, but Olise still came on when the score was 3-0 to Brighton. For some reason, they played him despite him not being fully fit to play. And of course, he injured himself straight away. So just, again, a massive letdown for Olise, who's been fantastic this season. He just really needs to be more cleverly used by Crystal Palace, because he basically came back from a major injury earlier in the season, played fantastically for like 5 or 6 game weeks, but he played every single game, 90 minutes. And then, of course, he had to be injured straight away. Then they rush him back a bit early against Sheffield United, scores 2 goals and goes off with a minor knock, I guess. But then, again, gets injured this game. So yeah, just a shame. But he's just so vital to Crystal Palace as well. Olise and Eze are both of them. So I sort of get why they have to use them, but at the same time, you're going to miss them for a couple more games after that if you use them too early. So I wish Crystal Palace had a bit more patience with them, but yeah, for now they are stayaways. Eze and Elise is someone that I almost brought in last game week, and I was kind of annoyed at first when he got 16 points. I would have sold Saka to get him, and Saka got 10 points last week, so that was only 6 points behind, and now Saka got 9 points this game week. So all in all, over the 2 game weeks, Saka's actually outperformed Elise because Elise is now back injured again. So in a way, I'm sort of happy that I didn't do those transfers, even though Elise just looks absolutely amazing if Eze and him are both fit at the same time. But it's hard to trust that being the case for a long period of time now because they just keep getting injured, it seems like. Next game is Newcastle against Luton. I did mention Luton beating Brighton 4-0 at home last time around, and I expected away to Newcastle at St James's Park that this would be too tall of a task for Luton, who are still fighting in the relegation zone, trying to get ahead of the likes of Nottingham Forest and Everton in that battle down there for the secure places in the Premier League. But once again, they just wouldn't give up. They just are a really scrappy team. That's what I said before the start of the season. I thought this would be like a really nice time for them in the Premier League. First time in the Premier League ever, basically, because they went down the season the league turned into the Premier League in 92, I think. But yeah, they are just really good, especially at home. But even away, they show that they have a lot of class. And Ross Barkley is someone that we just have to recognize as a really good player at this point. He was a super talent back in the day for Everton. I remember Kevin, my co-host on the FPL School podcast, claimed that he was better than Sterling. Maybe not so much, but currently he is actually better than Sterling. He is performing absolutely fantastically well and got 1 goal and 1 assist as well for Luton, as did Morris for Luton as well, and as did Longstaff got 2 goals. So that made sure that Trippier, despite getting a goal and an assist, didn't get any bonus points, which is kind of unheard of. So it was kind of an uncommon 3 or 9-pointer from Trippier. We've seen Trippier get 9 pointers left, right, and center. Whenever he plays and gets a clean sheet, he usually gets 9 points because he gets the 2 bonus points. But this time he actually scored and assisted and still didn't get any bonus points. But yeah, they basically conceded 4 goals as well. So depending on how you look at it, you should be happy or unhappy about the 9 points from Trippier. But it could have been a lot more. It could have been 12, especially. And if they have gotten a clean sheet as well, he probably wouldn't have scored a goal if they hadn't gotten a clean sheet, because he scored when Luton were up 4-2. But yeah, crazy game in general. Newcastle took the lead early, and Luton came back again and basically took the lead themselves after some pretty crazy goals in the second half. And then Newcastle fought back, and Trippier scored the 4-3 goal, like I mentioned. And Newcastle managed to get the points in the end. Trippier also had a really nice assist for the first goal for Newcastle and looked really good as well. So Trippier and Barkley are the 2 standout performers from this game. But Adebayo once again scored again for Luton. He's a really cheap cut price striker as well. Especially if Luton, who are in contention for getting a double game week. They already have a double game week, a really tough double game week against Man City and Liverpool. No, what is it? They have a pretty tough double game week in general in Game 25. Can't remember exactly who it is at the top of my head right now. But then they might also get a double game week in 28 when they play Bournemouth in that second game as well. And they potentially play in Game 29. So Luton is definitely a team you could target currently. You can also get Alfred Doughty, who got an assist. I don't think it should have been an assist personally. He tried to cross the ball for Ogbene on the back post, and the Dubravka basically just hit it out into the middle of the box, even though it was a cross. It wasn't a shot on target, but I guess it was counted as a save, and then the Doughty got the assist once again. So Doughty just keeps getting points, whether it's assists or clean sheets. He's just been getting a lot of points lately for 4.5 and all the double game weeks and all that stuff for Luton. He's definitely an option. So you have a defender option in Doughty, you have a midfielder option in Barkley, who's 4.8 or something. He's really, really cheap in the game this season. Barkley, he's providing the goods, and then you also have Adebayo, who's also around the same price, around like 5 million. He's also playing amazingly well. So you have an option in basically defense, midfield, or attack for Luton. So if you want someone cheap for the double game week and potentially a double game week as well in Game Week 28 and potentially also playing in Game Week 29, then you have a lot of those options with Luton, which is interesting, I think. When it comes to Newcastle, they're still not reliable defensively. They did concede 2.27 expected goals conceded in this game against Luton. Not the best. They're obviously missing Nick Pope, even though Dubravka is still a decent goalkeeper, but Nick Pope is fantastic. And there's just something off about their defense. I don't know, Jolinton is out as well. He might be a big detriment to their defense. Dan Burn just keeps getting skinned, especially this game as well. Ogbene, who is a really underrated player, by the way, just absolutely destroyed him on the wing, got past him, and then they were awarded a penalty, which I think was a clear penalty. He started the holding outside the box and just kept holding on to Ogbene's shoulder inside the box as well, where Ogbene fell over and won the penalty for Luton. So yeah, Burn just keeps getting destroyed on the left back position. I really think Tino Livramento should play instead of him. And just defensively, you can't really trust Newcastle, but they do have some really, really good fixtures before and after, what is it, game week 26. I think they have a tough fixture against Arsenal. But before and after that, they have really, really good fixtures. And Trippier is just amazing attacking-wise. And we know the bonus potential as well that he usually has. So I still think they have really good options, Newcastle. But it's just a matter of, they might concede a lot of goals. Offensively, they have some issues as well. Anthony Gordon got an assist for basically shooting a shot that was rebounded and scored for the second goal for Newcastle. But he was injured right before the half and had to be subbed off at the half. And he was seen on crutches and with a walking boot after the game as well. So not the best for Gordon. And Harvey Barnes is also back for Newcastle, played the final 30 minutes in this game. So even if Gordon is back healthy, he's still going to get competition from Harvey Barnes on the left there. And Gordon has played basically every game so far, so he probably needs a rest here and there. So I think Gordon is sort of more a stay away now. I had a lot of faith in him before this game week, and he did provide the assist at least, but then he got injured. Harvey Barnes is back. He's already on 8 yellow cards, and if he gets 2 more yellow cards, he has a 2-game suspension as well. So I think Gordon is the one that you could look to get rid of, especially if he's injured now for the next 2 pretty easy matches. When it comes to strikers, Isak was out for this game as well, but Callum Wilson was back on the bench and came on for the final, 40 minutes or so in this game. So maybe Wilson is also an option if you need a striker, but currently there are just so many good strikers that Wilson is sort of down the pecking order, I think. But after game week 26 at least, maybe go with someone like Wilson if Isak is still out. But yeah, that's always the case with Newcastle. If both strikers are fit, you can't really choose between them because one of them is going to play and one of them is going to be benched most likely. It's just really hard to choose between them. But yeah, I think Newcastle, you basically stay away from mostly everyone, but maybe Trippier. Even Dubravka at this point, I've been a pretty staunch supporter of Dubravka. I've expected Newcastle to turn it around defensively, but over the season, I think they're 17th in terms of expected goals conceded, which is just absolutely terrible. We know they conceded 7 XG against Liverpool, so that sort of brings it all down. But I don't know, they just haven't looked good defensively for a long while now, so maybe it's just time to give up on their defense apart from Trippier, who might get assists and stuff offensively. But yeah, it's difficult to see what's going to happen with Newcastle going forward. Sheffield United against Aston Villa is the next game, and this is sort of what you could expect from the worst team in the Premier League this season by far. I still think, even though Burnley are really bad as well, they have something to offer at least offensively, but Sheffield United are just really bad, and they had a bit of a bump after they changed their manager, switched from Heckingbottom to Chris Wilder, got a bit of a manager boost, even though they didn't get much because they didn't really get that many points. They were at least harder to beat, but now against Aston Villa, they were just completely run over by one of the better teams this season in Aston Villa, who have now managed to get some rests after a busy December Christmas schedule. Like most teams, they've gotten some rest now without European play. They're still in the Conference League, so that's going to change pretty soon. But for now, they're looking really good, and especially Ollie Watkins, who got 18 points in this game, 3 assists, 1 goal. Not the best XG actually. XGI 0.69. It's nice, but it's not anything like spectacular. But they still got 1 goal and 3 assists from it. So Watkins is just someone that you can't really drop. He's been fantastically good all season. He's the highest scoring striker in the game. By far, he's just well worth the money, and especially with Aston Villa's decent fixtures and potential to play in Game Week 29. We'll get to know that on Wednesday when they play Chelsea in the Cup. We'll get to know if they most likely get Game Week 29 or if they blanket that game week. But at least until Game Week 30, 31, where most people are looking to wildcard, I think Watkins is just someone that you need to have in your squad because, he just proves it time and time again that he can score goals and get a lot of assists as well. I think he has 14 FPL assists at this point, most of them from rebounded shots or winning penalties. So his expected assist number isn't that high, but you shouldn't be fooled by expected assist numbers because that only takes into account passes and not rebounded shots or penalties won. So don't let that distract you from the fact that he has 14 FPL assists, and that's not really that big of a shock because he gets a lot of rebounded shots and he gets wins a lot of penalties as well for Aston Villa. So Watkins is just amazing again. The goal he scored was really nicely set up by Douglas Luiz, who just keeps being really good value for Aston Villa. A really, really, really nice pass. You really should watch it if you haven't seen it already. And Watkins had some nice passes himself, had a nice cross for Alex Moreno, who scored a goal and kept a clean sheet as well, even though Sheffield United scored in injury time. The goal was taken away by VAR because it was slightly offside. And that kept a clean sheet for Aston Villa as well. For anyone that has Martinez in goal and have sort of struggled with him not getting many points lately, they finally got their clean sheet. Moreno finally got his goal and clean sheet as well, so 14 points for him, and Watkins with the massive 18-pointer. So Aston Villa looked terrific, even though it was away from home, which is kind of interesting, the fact that they played a draw. I think it was 2-2 against Sheffield United at home when they had that long run of just winning and winning and winning at home. Sheffield United were actually the team to break it and get a result from there, get a point from Villa Park. But now, in the away fixture, Aston Villa just dominated when Villa haven't been the best away this season. But Sheffield United, we've seen them lose massively before as well at home this season. They lost 8-0 to Newcastle early in the season, and they're just still a really nice team to target because they are one of the worst Premier League teams of all time. So yeah, they're still a team to target whether you're playing away or at home. Yeah, you can always doubt the Blades. They are not that good of a team, and you can never doubt Watkins because he is that good of a player. So that's basically the takeaway from this game. Also, just a final note, I think also interesting to note of Aston Villa when it comes to their attacking players. Whenever they played, I saw a couple games, like 3 really good results this season. When they beat City, when they had another huge 4-1 win or something, and when they won this game, they played with Tielemans as sort of number 10. They played Bailey on the right as a winger, because Bailey has been absolutely fantastic this season. He's outplayed Diaby after Diaby had a really nice start to the season. Bailey has just been amazing since then. He was really nice to watch this game as well. I think he is someone that you could have on your radar as well. If he keeps playing a lot of games. McGinn has been fantastic all season. Douglas Luiz has been fantastic all season. Moreno's filled in at left wing back really nicely as well, got his return, and obviously Watkins up front was fantastic. So when they play those players, Tielemans and Bailey on top of having Watkins and McGinn and all those guys that I mentioned, they are really, really good, and that's what they showed this game. So Aston Villa, hats off to them. Still a contender for the top 3 places, basically. Maybe not top 3, maybe there are contenders more for 4th and 5th, but they are still up there amongst those great teams in the Premier League. So hats off to Aston Villa and Unai Emery for having a fantastic season. Bournemouth against Nottingham Forest. This was a really disappointing game, especially for me, who had Solanke as captain. Like many others, I figured he scored 3 times against Nottingham Forest last time. Bournemouth have been at least a bit frisky and nice, but it's starting to get a bit of a long time ago since they were looking really nice. They got a draw against West Ham last time around. They did create a lot of chances, and that's sort of also why I was sold on Solanke. He scored a goal himself, set up 2 more potential goals. Probably should have had two assists on top of the goal against West Ham. So I thought he was going to be in good form. I thought Bournemouth were going to be in good form as well, and Nottingham Forest would not be in not so good form. But Nottingham Forest looked pretty solid defensively this time, and Bournemouth just looked really lackadaisical and just slow offensively. I don't know. I think sort of their purple patch has ended a bit, and I don't think... They're not a bad team. They're not going to go down by any means, but I think they sort of had a purple patch, a bit of a purple patch at least, and now they're sort of coming back down to earth, because at home to Nottingham Forest, you really expect them to win, but they weren't really close at all. They got that opening goal, a corner that was headed to the back post from Sinistera, and then Kluivert basically nicked the goal as it was crossing the line. He basically touched it, and that's basically all the XGI from Kluivert is that goal. And they got the opening goal pretty early, but then after that, they just basically let off the gas. Nottingham Forest scored right before the half, and then the second half was just basically nothing. So I'm not really going to talk too much about this game because both teams were really disappointing. Gibbs White didn't do much. Aboni didn't do much. Solanke got registered 0.02 expected goal involvement, I think, in total. So I don't know. The only thing with FPL for this game is basically Solanke, because he is a really popular player. Pretty popular captaincy choice this week as well, I think, analytics wise. Like basically the FPL guys that have a lot of analytical tools and stuff who do this, a lot of them captain Solanke because he did have really good numbers for this game, or underlying numbers I guess for this game, but didn't impress at all. And there is a question if you want to sell him. For example, if you don't have Darwin at the moment, I'm looking at potentially selling Solanke in the short term at least to get Darwin Núñez. But what we know about Bournemouth as well is the fact that they do potentially get that double game against Luton in Game Week 28. That might happen apparently, or it might even go into Game Week 29 if both Luton and Bournemouth go out of the FA Cup, which could happen pretty easily, because Luton could lose to Man City, we expect them to, and Bournemouth could lose against Leicester, which is the best team in the Championship and are basically a Premier League level team at this moment. So that could happen as well, but I think it seems like most likely it's going to be a double game week 28 now with at home matches against Luton and Sheffield United in that game week. So you definitely want Solanke for that game week. But game 24, they have Fulham away. Game 25, they have a pretty tough match as well against Newcastle, I think, away. And then game 26, they have Man City. So they do have 3 tough-ish matches. Maybe not a Fulham match next, but especially game 25 and 26, they do have tough matches. So you could go for a short-term punt on Darwin and have him for Burnley at home in game 24 and then double game week in game 25 as well, assuming he plays. But I do assume he plays because they look pretty bad without him today, Liverpool, as we'll get to pretty soon. So I think there's definitely a case to be made for selling Solanke and buying him back again for game 27, 28, 29 potentially. But for now, especially with the fixtures that they have upcoming, I'm not quite sold on Solanke, but he is definitely someone you want for that double game week in 28 if that happens. So yeah, just keep that in mind. But that is potentially a luxury transfer you can do, just a rental of Darwin Núñez and then or someone like that, and then go back to Solanke after that. So that's something that I keep in mind at least for Bournemouth and Solanke. Next game, we have Chelsea against Wolverhampton, and this is basically just Chelsea's 2023-24 season confirmed, or basically just an amalgamation of what we can expect from Chelsea this season. Cole Palmer again scored the opening goal for Chelsea. He's just absolutely amazing, doesn't need penalties to score. Scored an open play goal, really nice goal, nice pass from Caicedo actually, and Palmer scored the opening goal for Chelsea. But as we know from Chelsea this season, nothing comes easy, and especially from Wolves this season as well. They do make it really tough for the big 6 teams. Like, they've had a lot of impressive performances against the big 6 teams, and especially now with Neto back, he just looks absolutely fantastic, and he had the best non-penalty expected goal moment here as well with 0.62. Second best on that list for Wolverhampton is Cunha, who scored a hat-trick. He scored a penalty, so that's obviously not counted in the non-penalty expected goal moment stat because it's non-penalty. But apart from that, he got 2 goals as well. 1 goal that was deflected, the 1-1 goal earlier in the game. Got a pass and basically shot it and hit Thiago Silva, and it went into the goal. Then Neto set up Ait Nouri for a shot, which was deflected as well. Disasi on goal there to give Wolves a 2-1 lead. And yeah, Wolves just basically took over the game from that point, even though Chelsea scored a bit of a consolation goal in the end there. Yeah, just really good from Wolves. And we should pay attention to this Wolves asset, which is kind of a interesting thing because they do not play in game 29, most likely. They do have that game against Bournemouth, so both Wolves and Bournemouth would have to be knocked out of the cup for that to happen, and they both have decent fixtures, at least in... I think they both have pretty decent fixtures in the next round, playing against lesser teams. So it's most likely Wolves will not play in game 29, and they don't have a double in 2025 either. So most will will sort of overlook them for that game 26, 27, 28, 29 run, because most people will load up on Game 29 players if you don't free hit in Game 29. But if you are like me and you're planning to free hit in Game 29, which is something you should probably take a stance on at this point. Do you want to free hit in Game 29 or not? Because it's going to affect the transfers that you do in 26, 27, 28, and 29. Because the FA Cup, the confirmation of which games blank or which teams blank and which teams don't in Game 29 happens between Game 26 and Game 27. So your Game 26 transfers and your game week, which is the blank game week in itself, basically that, and then 27, 28 transfers will affect what happens in Game 29 for you. But yeah, just going back to the Wolves thing of this, they don't play in Game 29 most likely, but they do have really good fixtures between Game 26 and 28. And even before Game 25 as well, they have decent fixtures. So I think Neto is someone, like I said earlier, if you already have all your Liverpool and Man City and Brentford players that you want covered, Neto is someone you can bring in. Cunha is someone you can bring in. And then eventually Hwang Hee-chan or Hee-chan Wang, however you want to say it, comes back from South Korea and Asian Cup as well, at least by Game 26. He's also someone to consider because he's amazing and he takes penalties usually for Wolverhampton. So Neto, Hwang, Cunha, I think all 3 of them, or at least 2 out of the 3, you could probably not go with all 3 in the same team, but you could choose 2 out of the 3 and free hit in Game 29 to bring in all the players that do play in 29 and have some really nice scores, I think, in 26, 27, 28, because I think Wolves just look really amazing under Gary O'Neill. I think they've had a really fantastic season and really interesting to watch. And Cunha, just to mention him as well, He's been a wonder kid. Back in the day, he was a huge wonder kid, played for RB Salzburg. He got his big move to Atletico Madrid and sort of it didn't work out there, but now he went to Wolves, had a bit of a struggling season last season, but now he's just fully flourishing. And he's really cheap as well. I think he's 5.6 or 5.5 or something in FPL. Really good price. Neto around the same price as well, 5.6. Hwang about the same price as well, 5.8 I think for Hwang. So all those three players are really good. So especially if you're using free hit in Game 29, like I am planning to do, I think Wolves assets are really nice to target for Game 26. If you have someone like Richarlison, for example, who doesn't play in 26, or if you have someone like Diogo Jota, for example, who doesn't play in 26, there's even more of a pressing issue because they don't play in 29 either. Unlike Spurs, I think Neto and Hwang are really good for that. And also, if you have someone like Darwin Núñez, like I mentioned, Cunha is a really nice player for that striking position from Game 26 as well. Assuming you have enough players, or if you free hit in Game 29. So that's something that I'm looking to take advantage of between Game 26 and 29. Getting those Wolves players before the free hit in Game 29, and then my wildcard in Game 30 or Game 31, which is currently my own plan. As it stands right now. But yeah, Wolves definitely someone to keep a look out for. Chelsea, not so much, just a really disappointing game for them once again. I had Malo Gusto starting this game. He got a yellow card and also basically tackled Cunha for the penalty for the fourth goal for Wolves. Could have easily gotten his second yellow as well for that tackle and been sent off, but he was subbed off instead right after conceding that penalty. I don't really like Malo Gusto going forward. He's been really disappointing for me. As an FPL pick. He should have been sent off in that one game where he got 5 points for me, and apart from that he's just been blanking and getting 0 pointers and yellow cards, and he's just been a terrible pick. I think Chelsea in general are just a team to stay away from because they blanking every 26, which is awful, and they don't really have particularly good matches as well before that. So yeah, Palmer is definitely someone you should keep though, because he keeps delivering, and especially if you have a lot of money or value invested in him, you should definitely keep him. Even though you could make a case for doing like the short-term move, if you don't really care that much about team value, you could sell him for like a couple weeks and then bring him back again in Game 27 after they're done with their blank, Chelsea. And they might also play in Game 29. We'll get to know that on Wednesday when they play Aston Villa in the Cup. If they lose that game, they're going to play against Arsenal in Game 29. So yeah, keep that in mind as well. But Chelsea players, I think it's just Palmer basically. Nkunku did play. They get decent numbers, as you can see, non-penalty expected goal moment, 0.63. So Nkunku is a decent shout as well, I guess. But I think at least for now, for the next few game weeks, Chelsea are just to stay away. Just keep Palmer if you have him already. Look to sell anyone else, like Gusto, for example. I'm trying to get rid of him myself. Really wish I went for Alfie Doughty instead on the wildcard. I really should have done that. But yeah, stay away from every Chelsea player apart from Palmer is my idea, at least for Chelsea. Man United against West Ham United ended up being 3-0 for Man United, and once again, just another really big blemish on my game week. This has been my worst game week of the season so far, by far. One of those reasons is the fact that I did some transfers. I brought in De Bruyne, brought in Haaland, sold Salah and Alvarez, and because I brought in De Bruyne for Salah, I had to bench someone in my starting lineup. And of course, that was Alejandro Garnacho, who scored twice against West Ham, my own favorite team at that. So, really painful game to watch as a West Ham fan and Garnacho bencher. Just an awful game in general. West Ham also sort of, if you look at the expected goal numbers, they probably should have won this game. 0.8 expected goals for Man United, 1.69 for West Ham. But yeah, West Ham played attacking football, at least away to these big six sides. Moyes usually plays more defensively, but he actually went for it in this game and tried to attack. But West Ham just set up weirdly as well. They do have West Ham. I say they now since they lost. I say we when we win. But they did set up with whatever. West Ham don't really have a striker at the moment. Bowen is playing de facto striker, but he's much better on the right. And West Ham don't have a left winger either. Lucas Paqueta has been playing left wing most of the season. He's out injured, and he's really affecting how good West Ham are playing, because West Ham can't really create much without him. He's just a vital, important player for West Ham. And with Benrahma leaving, Fornals leaving, there's basically no left winger left to play for West Ham, which means that they played sort of a weird formation, and they played Kudus on the left this time, meaning that Ben Johnson played on the right wing. So no strikers for West Ham to play. Bowen de facto striker, and then Kudus on the left. Kudus and Bowen are both the best players to play, or their best position is both on the right wing, and neither played right wing. Ben Johnson played right wing. I don't really understand how West Ham set up in this game. Even still, they did create a lot of chances and didn't really concede that many chances, but Man United took their chance as well. Højlund opened the scoring with another goal. He's just in absolutely fantastic form. He's definitely someone to consider as well. At some point, but Man United as well, they don't double in 25 and they do blank in 29 most likely. So yeah, it's hard to bring in someone like Højlund currently, but Garnacho is definitely someone you can bring in as a cheap enabler, and that's what I did a couple game weeks ago, and I've gotten 1-pointers and 2-pointers even though he's played well in the last few game weeks. Now I benched him after bringing in De Bruyne, and he scored 16 points on my bench. My only hope is that Foden doesn't play or De Bruyne doesn't play tomorrow for Man City, but or today if you're watching this video for Man City, but fat chance of that happening. So my Garnacho 16-pointer is probably staying on the bench, along with my 8-pointer from Branthwaite on the bench as well. But yeah, Garnacho scored 2 goals. Not the best goals, I guess. The third goal was pretty good from him, but the second goal was a massive deflection from Nea Agard, who's back for West Ham, and it's making West Ham worse defensively. I'm not a big fan of Agard. I know a lot of West Ham fans are not big fans of Agard either. He sort of has a pretty good rep around the league, I think, because he did reach the semi-final with Morocco, was a pretty vital, important part for their defense being that good in the World Cup. And he does have a really high, top level for West Ham, but he just makes far too many mistakes. Even the first goal sort of rushed out on Højlund, and Højlund just basically went past him easily when Suma was basically controlling that area of the pitch, and Højlund managed to score from that. So not the best game from Agard. West Ham in general looked pretty bad. Bowen, not the best game from him. He had a pretty good chance to score. He had another chance where Maguire lost the ball and West Ham went through. Emerson Palmieri had the ball, and Bowen, for some reason, even though he could have just sprinted up and been in a fantastic position to score, he basically slowed down a bit and wasn't in a perfect position to score, and Emerson Palmieri just shot it wide instead. So a lot of confusing things there from Man United, or from West Ham against Man United. Man United again ended up being the deserved winners in the end because they took their chances. Garnacho, fantastic. Fernandes even got the assist for the first goal for Garnacho. So finally some points from Fernandes, but like the point I mentioned back in Game 21 when I brought in Garnacho myself, he's just a much better option than Fernandes at this point. He's posting better underlying numbers, he's playing more offensively, he's scoring goals. Bruno Fernandes is more expensive and isn't that involved with Man United. Yes, he is on penalties, but not too many penalties for Man United these days, and Garnacho might even be the one to win the penalty if they get one. So Garnacho for half the price almost of Fernandes is just a much better prospect. So if you're looking for a Man United player, I think Garnacho is definitely the one to go for, because he's been really good lately, even though he hasn't gotten that many points. And I was expecting this massive haul at some point, but I just had to bench him with the Bruyne into my team. So yeah, massive letdown for me this game. But Garnacho at least he was a good purchase for me compared to those that brought in Fernandes. But yeah, that's my only solace taken from this game. Final game of the game week that I'm going to talk about is Arsenal against Liverpool. Obviously, we have Man City left. Man City against Brentford. Brentford at home to Man City on Monday. I'm sure that will be a nice, easy win for Man City, but I'll talk more about that in tomorrow's video, as I'll get into at the end of this video. But first, we got to talk about Arsenal against Liverpool. Pretty massive game in terms of the title challengers this season. Man City are still the favorites, and Arsenal and Liverpool are right behind them in terms of being the second favorite for the title. And this basically proved that Arsenal are further along than Liverpool, I guess. Especially Liverpool without Salah. They have played tremendously without Salah in the games against Chelsea, 4-1 win, and against Bournemouth, 4-0 win. But as we've seen from the Chelsea and Bournemouth results lately, they aren't in the best of form. So maybe that masked a bit of how good Liverpool are without Salah, because Salah obviously is, in my opinion, the best player in the Premier League, apart from maybe Kevin De Bruyne if he's back to full fitness and playing really well. But yeah, this game we saw that Liverpool do indeed miss Salah, because they couldn't really create much at all. They got one goal, which was an own goal from Gabriel Magalhaes, basically pestered in from Luis Diaz, who won the ball. Massive mistake from Raya, in my opinion. Saliba tries to shield the ball, and Raya could just easily come out and collect it, but he sort of hesitates and doesn't really fully go for the ball either. Makes this let the ball roll to me type of movement instead of attacking the ball and just going for it and being brave. And then Diaz manages to poke it into the hand of Gabriel and into an own goal. So really unlucky for those of you with Gabriel as captain. He didn't even get the assist for the Martinelli goal, which is another major mess up fuck up, I should say, from Liverpool, from Van Dijk and Alisson of all players. That didn't count as an assist, because that was a pass from Gabriel up to Martinelli, who basically went after the ball. Then there was a collision between Van Dijk and Alisson. So I guess that's why they didn't count it as an assist. I think he could have gone either way. I think the intended target was Martinelli, and he ended up with the ball, despite the ball not being too affected by the Liverpool players. But at the same time, Liverpool sort of had control over the ball and should have easily managed to get the ball away from them. But in the end, that was a 2-1 goal for Arsenal. Arsenal did take the lead earlier with Saka from a rebound from Howard's shot. Nice 1-on-1 stop from Alisson, who didn't have the worst game, but he had this massive mistake at least for the 2-1 goal. But yeah, that was the opening scoring for Arsenal. Saka scored. He also missed a major chance where Martinelli had a really nice run. Martinelli was fantastic in this game. And also scored, basically made sure that they got 2-1 as well by pestering Van Dijk and sort of slightly giving him a shove into Alisson for that goal, and Alisson or Van Dijk and Alisson colliding for that goal. Martinelli was fantastic, set up that chance for Saka before the first goal even happened, but Saka missed a pretty open header, just couldn't attack the ball properly, but he did attack the ball properly for the 1-0 goal. Got the goal and got 2 bonus points, Saka as well. He had to limp off with an ankle injury towards the end, but that's what we've seen from Saka this whole season. He just keeps getting these small knocks and he keeps getting back for the next game. So sell him at your own risk, I guess. I am flirting with the possibility of selling him myself because I do want those Liverpool players, Jota and Salah, for example. If Salah is back for 24, that is. Because I do think Liverpool still, against Burnley at home, fantastic fixture, and then the double game week, they have 2 really good fixtures as well. I am really interested in Liverpool players still attacking wise, but this game they didn't really do much. Jota usually scores a lot against Arsenal, but he didn't score at all this game, wasn't even that close. And Trossard for Arsenal loves to score against Liverpool, and he actually got the goal for Arsenal. Probably should have been an own goal because I don't think the shot would have gone on target, but it hit basically the leg of Van Dijk, so Van Dijk once again sort of was at fault for a goal, I guess. But Trossard easily went past his marker. I can't remember, I think it was Harvey Elliott maybe he went past on the wing, stormed up the side and shot it, and the ball hit Van Dijk and went into the goal and basically secured the win for Arsenal. And Arteta went wild and celebrated like he should. I don't understand why people are so mad about him celebrating, but either way, massive win for Arsenal. They celebrated as if they won the league and you could criticize Arsenal for that, but I think just the fact that they managed to get a win from this game is a massive positive for Arsenal and their future as title contenders, both in this season and seasons beyond this, because they have such a young squad still. But they did dominate Liverpool this game, basically all game, but especially in the first half. They had 2.03 XG compared to Liverpool with 0.10 XG, and the score was 1-1 at halftime after Arsenal had conceded that stupid goal. And at that point I thought, oh, same old Arsenal, as I've seen with them countless times over the last 20 years. They do dominate a lot of these Big Six matches, and then they have that major mistake, and then they just completely flunder it, or make a mess of it after that. But this game, they did make that massive mistake. It ended up being 1-1. Liverpool actually took charge in the second half as well. I think the first 5-10 minutes of the second half, Liverpool actually looked like the team that were going to win the game. But Arsenal just stayed at it and got the win. I think that's a massive plus for Arsenal in this title race. When it comes to the FPL assets for this game, Saka obviously stands out. Havertz always misses big chances. I don't think Havertz is a nice option. Jesus, who was injured for this game, is going to be back pretty soon again. I assume he just always gets injured and gets back again. But I think Martinelli, he's the standout player for this game for me, from Arsenal. I think he's looked really good lately, and just the pace that he has as well. How he just paced past Konate for the setup for the Saka chance in the first half as well. Could have had an assist there, got the goal quite luckily, but he's just playing really well lately. And I think if you have him, especially currently, just keep him, because I think he's an underrated prospect. I think Arsenal as well, after having that bit of a dip between Christmas and New Year's, where they had some really tough matches and they struggled against West Ham, which is their next opponent, funnily enough. And West Ham usually make it tough for Declan Rice and Arsenal. But after that, they've sort of risen back again and are now genuine title contenders, I think, still. I had them as my Premier League winners before the start of the season. I predicted that to happen. They haven't really taken charge of the season like I expected them to. They've had some issues offensively, but I think now they're starting to look a lot better offensively. Defensively, they've been fantastic all season with Declan Rice in the team. That's something that you assume, because Declan Rice is one of the best players in the league, one of the best players in the world, one of the best players in the position. As a West Ham fan, I have a lot of respect for Declan Rice, even though a lot of West Ham fans don't really respect him that much anymore. But personally, I love Declan Rice, and I think he's fantastic. And I just gotta bring him to the forefront as a fantastic player, even though he's not really that good of an FPL prospect. At least he takes some corners at least, but yeah, not really an FPL prospect. But great win for Arsenal, and a great way to cap off the weekend with a nice result there especially for Arsenal fans. For Liverpool, not so much. Kind of worrying for Liverpool in a lot of ways. Trent Alexander-Arnold got subbed off after 57 minutes, despite starting the game. He's probably not fully fit yet, so he's someone that I'm looking to sell potentially as well, even though they have Burnley at home and then a double game week in 25. I just don't really trust him to play that much, to be honest. I think this game, Connor Bradley would have played normally, but sadly for him, huge letdown, or letdown is too soft of a word. Just awful, the fact that he lost his dad right before this game. And obviously he was not part of the matchday squad, so yeah, really sad about him. Thoughts go out to Connor Bradley after having such a fantastic week before that with a massive breakout. He has like the biggest downfall of his career so far, or his life so far, I assume, with his dad passing. So sad times for Bradley. And yeah, that's basically how I'm gonna end it, I guess, on that sour note. There's the weekend walkthrough or the FPL test. When it comes to my own videos this week, tomorrow I'm going to post a video talking about this game week. Pretty big letdown for me this game week in general. Yeah, not the best game week for me in general. I'm going to talk about that and my transfer moves and what I did, and also my potential plans for the future. I'm also going to talk a little bit about my free hit draft from this past game week as well, because that was much better than my own team. I should have free hitted. In hindsight, I should have free hitted because my team did poorly and my free hit team, or my free draft at least, did really well. So I'm going to talk a bit about that tomorrow, and then we're going to have the weekly Walker draft as always on Wednesday. Thursday we're going to have the FPL Scope podcast with Kevin this time, hopefully, and then Friday we're going to have the team selection video where I talk about my plans, my full plans for game week 24, which is the next game week. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. As always, leave a like if you can, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you've watched all this video and you're still here, please subscribe, because I could really use it. It would be really nice after a bad game week, I guess. But either way, thanks for watching, and goodbye.